Hello everyone and welcome back to Math Made Easy. In our previous lecture, we studied the intermediate value theorem and learned an important fact. If a function is continuous and changes sign over an interval, then at least one root exists within that interval. But proving that a root exists is only the half the problem. The next challenge is to determine where that root actually lies. Before we begin, let me briefly show you the roadmap of this course. And so far, we have completed the first module, error estimation, where we discuss sources of errors, significant digits, convergence, and stability. And we are now entering into the module 2, that is a solution for nonlinear equations, where we will study several numerical methods for finding the roots of equation. Here we have the bisection method, regular fallacy method, Newton-Raphson, second and fixed point iteration method, and many more. So we will study each of these methods in detail, understanding the theory behind them, learning their algorithms, solving the numerical examples, and comparing their advantages and limitations. And once we complete this module, we will move on to the solution of system of linear equations and interpolation, numerical differentiation, numerical integration, and finally the numerical solution for ordinary differential equations. So today we begin with the bisection method, one of the most simplest and most reliable root finding techniques. So let me just ask you a very simple question. Suppose I ask you to find the page number 756 in a 1000-page dictionary. Would you start from page 1 and check every page one by one? Of course not. And most of us naturally open the book somewhere near the middle. And if the required page is after the middle, we search only the second half. Otherwise, we search the first half only. We continue dividing the search interval into two equal parts until we reach the required page number. And this strategy is exactly what the bisection method uses. And so instead of searching for a page, we search for the root of a function. So basically, this bisection method is a numerical technique that is used to approximate the root of a continuous function by repeatedly dividing an interval into two equal parts. Here we have this bi, that means 2, and the section means division. Therefore, the bisection means division into two equal parts. Before applying the method, the two conditions must be satisfied. First one is the function must be continuous over the interval a comma b. And the second condition says the function values at the endpoints must have the opposite sign. That is, this f of a into f of b should be lesser than 0. And why is this condition important? Because according to intermediate value theorem, a continuous function that changes sign over an interval must cross the x-axis somewhere within that interval. And that crossing point is the root that we are looking for. So, if I draw a very smooth curve that crosses simply the x-axis, I have marked A and marked B as the endpoints. And now, notice the function is positive at one endpoint and a negative at the other point. And since the graph is continuous, so it can't be moved from positive to negative without crossing that x-axis. Therefore, a root must exist between these 2 points. So suppose I've taken an interval, a closed interval a comma b that contains a root. Now just calculating the midpoint out of it. That is a c, which is equals to a plus b by 2. Now what should we do? We evaluate f of c. So there will be three possibilities. First one is maybe the f of c will become 0 or not equals to 0. If it is 0, then root has been found. And if it is not equals to 0, then again two cases arises. First one is this f of a into f of c is lesser than 0. Then root lies in a comma c. Then you need to discard the second half. And if you got this f of c into f of b is lesser than 0, then root lies in c comma b. Then you need to discard the very first half. So every iteration cuts the search interval into two equal halves, and that's why this method is called bisection method. So the algorithm says, in the very step 1 says choose two initial values a and b such that you have f of a into f of b is lesser than 0. In the very step 2, compute the midpoint c, that is equals to a plus b by 2. And in the step 3, you need to evaluate f of c. Now, if that f of c equals to 0, you need to just stop. Otherwise, you need to replace either b by c or a by c, like in this case. And repeat until the desired accuracy is achieved. And with every iteration, the interval containing this root becomes half as long. So initially we have taken the length as b minus a, and after one iteration we get this value as b minus a by 2, and after two iteration you get b minus a by 2 to the power 2, that is b minus a to the power, that is b minus a by 4. And after nth iterations you got this ln equals to b minus a by 2 to the power n. Therefore, the approximation becomes increasingly accurate, and the bisection method has linear convergence, which means it is reliable but not that so much a fastest method. So basically this method is simple and very easy to understand, easy to implement as well. In fact, guaranteed the convergence if the conditions are satisfied. Even they don't require the derivatives or even works well with the continuous functions. But they converges very slow and specifically requires a continuous function. In fact, needs an interval where the function changes the sign and hence doesn't directly handle repeated roots without a sign change. Now we have a question. We need to find a root of this particular function that is correct up to 3 decimal places in the closed interval 1, 2. So firstly we need to define function fx equals to x cube minus x minus 2. We first need an interval where the function changes sign, that is this x equals to 1 and x equals to 2. That means we get this f1 value as minus 2 and f2 value as 4. And since the multiplication of this f1 and f2 is negative, that is lesser than 0, that means the function changes its sign between 1 and 2. Therefore, by the intermediate value theorem, at least one root lies in the interval 1, 2. Now comes the algorithm part. Firstly, you have the current interval as 1, 2. Then you need to take the midpoint out of it, that is the c, which is equals to this 1 plus 2 by 2, which gives us 1.5. And that evaluating the function value at 1.5, which gives you minus 0.125. And since this f of 1.5 is lesser than 0 and this f of 2 is greater than 0, the root lies in 1.5, 2. Now comes the second iteration where we have the new interval as this 1.5, 2, and the midpoint says this 1.5 plus 2 by 2, that is 1.75. And hence evaluating the function at this point 1.75, which gives you 1.609375. And since this function value at 1.5 is lesser than 0 and this function 1.75 is greater than 0, that means the new interval become 1.5 to 1.75. Similarly, in the third iterations, we got the midpoint as 1.625 and the function value will become 0.666016, which is a positive value, and hence you get the new interval as 1.5 to 1.625. And continuing in the same way, after successive several iterations, your approximation might look like this. Once the rounded value remains unchanged over the successive iterations, we can confidently report the answer as 1.21, correct up to 3 decimal places. Now we have seen how the interval keeps shrinking and our approximation becomes better with each iterations, but an important practical question still remains. When should we stop the iterations? Since the bisection method is an iterative process, we need a rule that tells us when our approximation is accurate enough. And this rule is known as the stopping criteria. Notice that every iteration makes the interval smaller. So if we never define a stopping criteria, the algorithm could continue indefinitely. And therefore, we stop once the approximation satisfies the required accuracy. And there are a number of ways we can define the stopping criteria for our method. Out of which, the first one is this: we have this f of c and the mod value should be lesser than epsilon, where this epsilon is basically a small tolerance, which is defined as to be between 10 to the power minus 4 to 10 to the power minus 6, and the c is the current midpoint. So if the function value is very close to 0, then the midpoint is a good approximation to the root. In the second one, since every iteration halves the interval, so better need to stop when this length, this mod of b minus a becomes lesser than epsilon. So once the interval becomes extremely small, we know that true root is trapped inside a tiny region. So the midpoint provides an excellent approximation. So this criteria is particularly natural for the bisection method because the method's entire idea is based on shrinking the interval. In the third case, you can stop when you get the cn minus 1 mod value, which is lesser than epsilon, where the cn basically the current approximation and the c of n minus 1 is the previous approximation. So if two successive approximations differ by only a very small amount, further iteration will produce only negligible changes. And in the last case, sometimes the question already states you to perform 5 iterations or 7 iterations of the bisection method. So in that case, stop after the required number of iterations. Basically, in university examinations, the stopping criteria is usually mentioned in the question. If it is not, you will often continue with the required decimal accuracies achieved. Now comes an important result, because each iteration has the interval, and we know that after n iterations, the interval length becomes this b minus a by 2 to the power n. And since the midpoint is used as the approximation, and so the maximum error is at most half of the current interval width. That is, this x minus cn mod value is lesser than equals to some b minus a divided by 2 to the power n plus 1. And that gives us a guaranteed upper bound of the error. This is one of the greatest strength of the bisection method. Unlike many other numerical methods, it provides a rigorous bound on the approximation error. Suppose we want the error to be lesser than the prescribed tolerance, that is this epsilon, then we require this b minus a by 2 to the power n plus 1 must be lesser than equals to epsilon. And if we solve for n, we get this n value should be greater than equals to this log base 2 of b minus a by 2 epsilon. And this formula tells us the minimum number of iterations needed to guarantee the desired accuracy. So to conclude it all, whenever you solve a bisection method or bisection method problem, always ask yourself these three questions. Like, does the initial interval satisfies this f of a into f of b is lesser than 0? Am I updating the current half interval after each iterations? Or what stopping criteria does the equation require? If you answer these correctly, you will avoid the most common mistakes. So today we look our first major step into the world of numerical root finding methods by studying the bisection method. We begin by understanding the intuition behind the method, explored the conditions required for its application, developed the algorithm stepwise, and saw how repeatedly bisecting an interval allows us to approximate the root of a nonlinear equation. We then applied the method to a complete numerical example and discussed one of its most important practical aspects, that is the stopping criteria, along with the associated error bound. And these concepts help us to determine when our approximation is sufficiently accurate, and when the iterative process should be terminated. Although the bisection method converges relatively slowly, although the bisection method converges relatively slow, but it is one of the most reliable root finding techniques because whenever its conditions are satisfied, convergence to a root is guaranteed. And in the upcoming lectures, we will continue our journey through root finding methods by studying more powerful numerical techniques such as regular Falsy method, Newton-Raphson method, second and fixed point iteration, and many more. We'll understand the working principle of each of the methods and derive their formulas, solving the numerical examples, and comparing their performance to determine where each method is most effective. Thank you for watching, and if you found this lecture helpful, don't forget to like the video, share it with your classmates, and subscribe to Math Made Easy for the complete numerical analysis course. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep exploring mathematics, and I'll see you in the next lecture.